It's the middle of a shift. I've got my speaker on, blasting my music. I'm locked in and I'm moving through my work. One thing at a time, as I always do. And then there's people just kind of there, standing in the middle of the floor, chatting, laughing, completely unaware that equipment is being moved around them, it seems. That the work happening is like something that some of us came here to just do. I felt that thing. You know the thing. The slow burn that starts in your chest when somebody else's complete lack of urgency bleeds into the space, your space really, and it disrupts your rhythm. That feeling has a name, and that's what we're talking about today. Welcome back to Caelan Uncut. This video is really a moment that happened at work recently, and it's also not really about the work. It's about something that's gonna follow you everywhere for the rest of your life if you don't learn how to deal with it. The office, the factory floor, your home, your friendships, your creative process, everywhere you go, there will be people that are operating at a completely different frequency than you. And if you don't understand what that costs you, it'll silently drain everything that you're trying to build. Now, there are two types of people in any environment. There are people who came to do something, and there are people who came to be somewhere. The people who came to do something have a rhythm. They have an internal momentum. They know what the next thing is before the current thing is done. Their brain is already 3 steps ahead, and interrupting them isn't annoying. It's genuinely costly. You're not blocking their focus, you're breaking their state. People who come to be somewhere are just present, filling time, social, comfortable, unbothered. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, except when the two types of people share a space, there's an invisible but very real collision happening constantly in real time. The person who came to do something is paying a tax. Every interaction that is more an interruption, and every piece of ambient chaos that takes away from the work. So every person standing in the middle of the floor having a conversation that has nothing to do with the work, that's a withdrawal from the mental account that takes real time and energy to replenish. And most people who are making the withdrawal don't even know that they're doing it. This isn't a personality thing at all. There's research that went into what the interruptions actually cost you. A study from the University of California found that after an interrupted task, it takes an average of 23 minutes, entire minutes, to return to the task at the same level of cognitive engagement. That's 23 whole minutes for one interruption. Now, let's think about that in the context of a shift, a workday, creative session. If you get interrupted 4 times, you've potentially lost nearly 2 hours of real focused output. Not because you stopped working or anything, but because your brain never really got back to where it was. There's also research completed. It's done on something called attention residue, or attentional. I think that's how you say it. It's when you switch from one thing to another, even briefly. Part of your attention is going to stay on the previous thing, so even if someone pulls you out of the focus for 30 seconds, a piece of your brain's still back there, just like a moment longer than you think. You're still splitting attention without you doing it or realizing it. That's why some of the most productive people in the world are almost obsessive about protecting that environment. It's not antisocial or arrogant, it really is just math. Your focused hours, they're finite really. They're the most valuable resource any person can casually just burn, and it doesn't feel like a cost because they don't pay it. Other people that are. I'm trying to put this in to words that I can explain it easier. Other people don't see the cost that you're paying for it. But here's where it gets a little bit philosophical, I'd like to say. The real issue isn't the interruption itself. The real issue is the mismatch in operating frequency. And that mismatch reveals who you're surrounded by. So when someone's standing in the middle of the floor, where equipment's moving and they have a casual conversation like nothing's happening around them, they're not being malicious. They're just not tuned into the same frequency. Their awareness of the environment, other people's work, of the cost of their presence has on the space, it's just not there for them. You can't fix it. You can't explain your way into someone caring about your focus if they've never had the kind of focus worth protecting. This is the part that actually stings if you've built a certain way. It's not the lost 23 minutes. It's the reminder that most people around you aren't operating at the same level that you're trying to. And you have to share that space with them anyways. It's a little isolating in a way. And it's kind of hard to explain to somebody that's never felt it. The more locked in you are, the more expensive the interruptions become. Plain and simple. It sounds obvious, but really think about what it really means. If a person who can drop into deep focus, who builds real momentum, who has clear internal sense of what you're trying to accomplish, an interruption doesn't just pause you, it costs you. It costs you a state that it took time and energy to get into, and it's going to take time and energy to get back into it, rebuild. Someone who never gets into that state in the first place doesn't feel the interruption the same way. They weren't anywhere to begin with. This is why all the high performers across every field, athletics, artists, engineers like myself, writers, they talk about protecting their environment with an almost religious intensity. Kobe Bryant was really famous for it. Deep work environments, minimal social interactions during the focus periods, ruthless about who gets access to their space and when. It's not because they were antisocial at all. It's because they understand the value of the state that they're in, and they've been doing the math on what it costs to lose that. Most people haven't done the math, and they won't. Or maybe they will and they'll understand. Good on them. Okay. Practical. Let's be practical about this because philosophy without application is just venting. And I like solving problems. I do it for a living. First, protect your inputs. Speaker in, head down. This is the universal body language for I'm not available. And most people will read it. The ones who don't, and the ones you actually need to be more direct with, they're there, but it's okay. You don't owe anyone your focus, unless they're your boss. Second, don't absorb the chaos. When you feel that slow burn starting, someone disrupting your rhythm, ambient noise bleeding into your headspace, the environment getting loud, recognize it for what it is, and it's not really your problem to solve. It's not a reflection of you, it's just the frequency mismatch. Naming it internally and letting it pass without letting it pull you with it, it'll really help your state of mind. Third, build rituals that are going to re-anchor you. When you get pulled out of focus, have a consistent way to get back in. A song maybe, a routine that you've started to really get it going, a first action that tells your brain that it needs to lock in again. Humans are creatures of habit and pattern recognition. So every time that you do this thing to lock back in, that time to lock in again shrinks a little bit. You can't always prevent the interruption, but you can get better at recovering from it. Fourth, this is a hard one in my opinion. Start being intentional about who you give access to your space. Not just physically per se, but also mentally. Some people tax you just by being in your orbit, and you leave interactions slightly more scattered, slightly more drained, slightly less locked in than when you arrived, and that's actually a real cost. You start noticing it, and it's more of like a why did I let that happen? And you'll start making decisions accordingly. And here's the thing about protecting your focus that I think a lot of people miss. It's not just about productivity, I think it's about identity. The person you're becoming, the work you're doing, the things you're building, the standard that you hold yourself to. It all requires a version of you that is present, locked in, I'm going to say it again, and you're operating at your full captivity as often as possible. Every time you let someone else's chaos become your chaos, you're not just losing time. You're spending down the version of yourself that's capable of doing the work at the level it deserves to be done. That's the real cost. Not the 23 minutes, not the broken rhythm, the slow erosion of the person you're trying to be, worn down by 1,000 small interruptions from people who don't even know that they're doing it. So, protect your state like it's the most valuable thing that you have, because it really is. Next time someone stands in the middle of the floor of your session, in the middle of your process, they have no idea what it costs you. Don't rage, don't explain, don't expect them to just get it. Just put your speaker back on, turn the volume all the way to max, and find your next action and get back to work. That gap between you and the people that aren't building anything isn't talent, and it's not even time. It's the ability to stay locked in when everything else around you is designed to pull out. That's the whole video. Thank you all for listening to my little rant and my little lesson that I've learned. I just experienced this on the floor the other day at work. Engineering life. This was episode 3 of Caelan Uncut. No filter, no performance, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.